Yep.
It's like a Thanksgiving dinner where everyone's like throwing, hey, give me the rolls, I'll take the cranberry sauce.
Yeah.
It's a functional, dysfunctional family at the same time. I'm just waiting one day it's gonna like pass the butter, like it's gonna come down. It's gonna be like normal Stanley throwing.
Good afternoon, this is Shane from PKPG Productions. I am the executive producer of the program, The Secondary Assessment. Today we're at Glens Hospital. We're going to be speaking to two of the ER nurses. It's going to be a fun, enjoyable time. Please stay tuned.
So I actually I was on a fire department for 10 years before when I turned 16, I joined a fire department and we did EMS there. And so I got very involved in their EMS program and became an EMT. And so I was on there for 10 years and ended up being a lieutenant. And I just I enjoyed that aspect of it. And I always kind of wanted to know what happened on the other side and, kind of more post-hospital care and just kind of trying to see, what happened after we brought them in. And so that kind of struck me into nursing, and I figured emergency department is really the only place I belong, and so that's where I ended up. So,
What squad, what fire company were you with?
I was on Jonesville Fire Department down in Clifton Park.
Okay.
We did volunteer, we did first responding EMS, but we were fairly advanced for a first responding agency. So I was coordinator for their EMS program, and I kind of worked pretty well with everybody there and just trying to get us as advanced as we could be. We did Narcan, we did everything that we possibly could. I think they're doing CPAP now since I've left. So we just, I got very involved in that and pre-hospital care, and I loved it. And, I just kind of wanted to see what happened to the patients after we brought them in.
And the transition from there to the hospitals to nursing, how did that go?
So I went to nursing school, obviously, after I graduated high school, and I stayed on the department for a long time and just did both. When I moved to Glens Falls, obviously I had to quit the department, which was a couple years ago now, but it was great. It was still kind of nice. I never worked in a hospital that, we were a non-transporting agency, but I didn't work in the hospital where we primarily took people because I didn't want to take care of my neighbors. But
and now we do.
But never really. I didn't just for I never wanted to put a Foley in my next door neighbor. It was kind of like I'm gonna stay away from that a little bit. But I just it was pretty easy. I had a better insight as to what could have happened to them in a field, and I have a little bit more of an understanding about it's important to know what the car looked like before they got here, and it's what can happen if they're not wearing their seatbelt and what that looks like on a scene, and it makes a big difference. So that's kind of how I got into this, and I just, like I said, I kind of figured emergency department was the only place I belong. I just like something different and new and fast-paced every day, and I love it.
And so, since you've been here, you transitioned from a regular ER staff to what position do you hold now?
I'm in assistant nurse manager position. I started at Glens Falls about 5 years ago. I was staff nurse in the ER for 3 years, and then I took the A&M position 2 years ago. So I've been doing that for a couple years, and it's fun.
Cool.
Okay, so not in EMS, and when you saw the questions, it was kind of think like, what was my pivotal point to be like, I need to be an ER nurse? So the only thing I can think of is when I was 9, we were hit by a drunk driver, and so the car accident was the thing, and don't take this the wrong way, I don't remember anything on the scene with the EMS besides they gave me a teddy bear. But when I got to the hospital, it was the chaos that they all were working so fast paced, doing things seeing my brother who was worse off than I was, and moving in and out to different people, a whole bunch of team members. And I just remember I want to be part of this team. couldn't tell you what member of the team I wanted to be, but I just always had that in the back of my mind. But then like in high school and college, when you got like to real focus and you got to like actually see what an ER nurse could do, like I was like, yep, ER. And I like even through nursing school, like when I was on my med surg rotation, like they would ask you, where do you want to do extra time? The ER, the ER. And so I was lucky I got a job right from nursing school in the emergency department. And I've been an emergency room nurse ever since. So that was 10 years ago, I think. Yeah.
So you also like went from basic ER nurse and you moved up in the ranks too. So what are you doing
So
now?
I started as an ER tech at another ER, and then I moved up here 4 years ago. So ER tech to ER nurse to charge nurse to up here I took an assistant nurse manager position. Cool. So that was 4 years ago.
All right. So Kelsey, what so far in your career here and stuff, what's one thing that sticks out that solidified your decision of becoming part of the emergency staff?
Honestly, I think it's just that I've been an ER nurse for 7 years and I still haven't gotten bored. And I still am excited to be here, and I'm still, interested in everything that comes in and want to know what happens with them and what their tests are. And, I haven't lost that like giddy excitement kind of feeling on a trauma or a cardiac arrest. And I think that just, every day that I come here makes me remember why I'm here and that I just enjoy it, So, I think me still enjoying my job after this long and never really getting bored just shows me I made the right decision.
Oh, that pretty much sums it up too. Like, just the idea that you are touching so many different people on like what is considered like the worst day of their life. You know what I mean? Like, my day could be going great and their loved one could be having a heart attack, and I get to be part of holding that person's hand, like, or making the team, like educating the team to be able to be there to know how to take care of their patient. I think like reminds me every day, like, yep, I made the right decision in life, and everyone's like, oh, but you get to retire in like 30 years. I'm like, yeah, I can't picture retirement. Like, what do you do when you're retired? Like, I hope I do this till the day I die, and then moving on. Okay. I think the one thing too, that every once in a while when you get that like sincere, like handwritten thank you note from a family member that you were part of to say, hey, you saved my loved one's life, like that's like, okay, yep, I still made the right decision. You're gonna have to get that in. You're gonna have to add the siren in.
I will. We're in our bloopers.
Well, it smells fire. I love that they have, it always amazes me, and I love that they always have the flag on the back of their truck.
Yeah.
I think it's just so like, yeah, we're part of the community.
Did you guys have like a plan B if the medical field didn't work out for you guys when you first started, or no?
Wait, can I start with first? Wait, no. It's funny.
I was at my parents' house.
We were talking about this yesterday. We had like a meet and greet with the community and everything, and I was talking to a lady. I said, I have said from day one that since being in the ER, from like what we are doing with the community is, like educating about strokes, educating about cardiovascular disease, educating about just, salt intake, like the things that we have been educating over the last 10 years. And you can see like patients with CHF are like knowing, when to call their doctor sooner. And I said, it would be okay if I got laid off because there was like no more texting and driving, because we've taught that to the community. No more heart attacks, so we taught that too. If I sincerely got laid off because there was no more need for emergency medicine, fine. I'll go work at McDonald's or TJ Maxx or something, because my services are not needed, and I would be okay with that. But I'm pretty sure, like with job security, I don't have a plan B. I don't want a plan B. Yeah.
What about you, Kelsey? Was there a plan B?
There was not. Honestly, I kind of figured I'd always do something medical. If nursing didn't work out, I kind of had thought of different occupations in the field, whether it was like respiratory care or something along those lines. I always enjoyed pre-hospital care. I was like, I could go be a medic, or I could do this, but like I've never really thought of a job that's outside of the medical field that I'm like, I'd love to do that. And it's always been something with healthcare.
So Andy, what has one thing that's happened in your line of work as right now that's made an impact, either positive or negative?
I never thought negative. I always look on the positive side. So the positive impact And this story I've told a few times around here at Glens Falls. And there was this patient that we had that had throat cancer, and I don't know, he just was always into the ER, and just, you got to know him really well. And he used to sing that song, you got to know when to hold them, know when to fold them. But there was a night where we just got that extra time just to like hang out with him and be at bedside, and he was able to say like, Andy, you got to remember to cherish today. And I don't know why, like that moment, like, oh my goodness, because you work so hard sometimes, like, you know, you work like, hey, sure, I'll pick up that overtime shift, that you got to remember to like legitly cherish your days off. So you work hard to play hard. And it made such an impact that I even got like tattooed on my wrist to be like, hey, like, you got to remember to cherish today. Because he was faced with like, he knows he was going to die. He knows like what the world was coming to for him. And it was like, oh, yeah. So every once in a while when I'm like stressed to the max, or I know that I'm like, oh yeah, I got to do something for me today. Like whether it be hiking, going for a run, it's like, it's my day. I'm going to cherish it.
Honestly, it's kind of difficult to think of one thing that has had a positive or negative impact, because it's kind of like you almost pick something every day that like reminds you why you do this, or you know, a patient that you feel like you legitimately saved their life. You have to find something little every day that reminds you why you do this. And you know, Andy said like you have to cherish today and you have to remember to take care of yourself. But like, you know, to me it's always just, were we there when we needed to be, and could we have done better? And you always just try to come back and do better. But I don't think there's an incident that's like solidified it for me. You know, I've done some really awesome stuff, like it, you know, when you crack a chest and stuff like that, it's terrible for the patient, but for us, we're like, wow, that was really interesting. That was really cool. And you know, it sounds awful, but it's just cool to me to be able to be there on the worst day of somebody's life and do everything I can to make it better.
Yeah, make a positive difference.
Yeah, and that's, if you think of it like that, even on the worst days, or you know, you get the belligerent patients and they're calling you names or something like that, you know, it's, but you can try, and you can try to make things better and make their lives a little bit easier. And I think that's like the biggest thing for me every day, is just trying to make an impact every day has been the biggest impact on me.
So Kelsey and I actually got to take care of a patient together. And the best part of the story is, like, I mean, you can tell what happened to the patient because I was there for the next day.
He was a AAA, but you would never know by looking at him.
No.
Like, he just was the happiest, like, jolliest patient I've ever taken care of, and you never know that there was anything wrong. He came in with a complaint that really had nothing to do with it, and I was pretty surprised. I think we kind of incidentally found the AAA, but it was kind of the AAA that was impending doom. It was not, don't make any quick movements kind of thing. And
don't laugh,
so, like,
don't sneeze.
He was so nice, and like, you know, we kind of explained the situation to him, and he got a little bit teary-eyed, but he just, no matter what, was like the nicest person and just so happy. And you know, even his family was upset and scared, and we were having to fly him to Albany Med, and you know, I kind of had to tell the family, like, you need to possibly say goodbye. Yeah. And you know, that was difficult, and he made them laugh. Like, in the last moments that he saw them, he was like still making jokes with them, and like, I don't know, he was like somebody that I was like, you are one of the coolest patients I've ever taken care of. And Andy was able to take care of him a few days later. Oh, it
was months. But the cool part about that too, though, with that guy, like,
we thought that was the last time.
We thought it was his last day.
Thought he was done.
But he went up in hell. So he went by LifeNet. So the funny part of that, the whole guy though, like, so he was content, happy, alert, and this whole thing. We told him like what was gonna happen. Helicopter went up and probably left, and 5 minutes later I got a phone call. They hit like this weather squall, like, and it was a beautiful summer day. Like, what are the odds that they hit this summer squall, right? So they literally had to turn back and land. And as you know, like a AAA, like, you probably should not be changing altitudes that many times.
We're like, for the love of God, keep flying.
So there was actually an ambulance here for like another patient to transfer to Albany Med, and I totally hijacked it. I said, absolutely not, this guy's going. So we were like, wonder what's gonna happen to that guy. So,
well, it's funny because he got out of the helicopter and he looked at us. And
he's like,
hey! You guys just wanted to see me again, didn't you? We're like, no,
and
we
like,
didn't.
The one thing, like Kelsey said, like, the happiest patient, but he had like Santa Claus belly laugh, like a legit, like, the best laugh that you sometimes you're just like, please stop laughing.
Yeah,
like,
you're jiggling your whole body.
Oh my God, please stop laughing. But there was like probably a solid 2 months later, there was actually a fight in the waiting room, and I went out to take care of this incident in the waiting room, and I heard the laugh, and then I literally heard, oh my God, it's one of my two angels. And I literally like so was focused on this, but it's like I totally like, and I know I lost all color. I started to tear up. He started to tear up, and he gave me the biggest bear hug. And I'm literally like on the phone. He's like, "Where's my other angel?" I'm like, "Hold on, like Kelsey, I gotta FaceTime you," because she couldn't get. Of course, the one time you weren't across the street, I was like, "I need to FaceTime you," and like her reaction, and like that day was like.
He remembered both of us. Like everything, and it just he
and
was
that
just
laugh,
so happy.
he
and it was,
still had that laugh, and he was like, "Yeah, I went to St. Peter's. They did a surgery. I was fine."
Yeah,
and he was like,
"No big deal.
I just thought I would come say hi to you guys." Wait,
Yeah.
what? Like, thank you.
It was awesome.
Yeah. So it was nice to have that impact together as like
name,
our team that we've worked together. So that guy was amazing.
Yeah, he is.
Yeah. Thanks for letting me tell that story.
All right, so the last question is, if somebody's looking to get into the medical field and they feel like, hey, maybe I want to work at Glens Falls Hospital, but I don't know much about them, what would you tell these people about Glens Falls Hospital and how they can contribute as an employee here?
Well, come work for us. But okay, so you have to ask it like almost backwards. So like the thing about Glens Falls Hospital is that we are in a community. Glens Falls is a very small town, but you're like surrounded by other small towns. So like Queensbury, Kingsbury, you know, yes, they might seem big, but like it's home. And like coming from a small town in Maine, like it felt like home to be here. Like I can go into Walmart and I can be like, I've taken care of you, I've helped your child. Oh hey, I work with you. Oh hey, by the way, thanks for like, you know, the paper that you sent me or something. I don't know, but you actually are involved in the community. And like the cool things, like Glens Falls has like the Take-A-Bite. It's so nice living downtown, doing the Take-A-Bite with the community, and you can see all your colleagues. And if that is the feel that you want, like opposed to like, you know, New York City where the hospital, like you probably couldn't even know what the other weekend shift looked like because of how many employees there is, how many like members of that one community there is. But here, like
you know people here. You're working with your neighbors and you're taking care of your neighbors, and that's sometimes a cool feeling. You know, I didn't want to be that initially, and I wanted to separate that, but it's definitely a cool feeling, and you know, you take care of a patient, then you see them out in the community, and you're like, wow, like they're doing great, and that's awesome to see. And you know, this hospital is just, you know, it might be a little bit smaller in comparison to other hospitals, but that's worked for us. You know, it's nice to develop relationships like that with people that work up on the floors or in different departments, and it just very much so has a community feeling. So I mean, we have everything from emergency to OB to inpatient medical, tele neuro, we have ICU, we have cancer center, we have an Alzheimer's center, there's
sleep
an infusion center here, there's a sleep center here. So this, I mean, we're doing as much as we can to provide as many services to the community as possible. Whether it's here or one of our ancillary or our satellite areas, they're trying to do the best they can to give people around here what they need, and we can be what they need. Recently became a stroke center. We got our stroke accreditation, so that's been great for us so far. We definitely needed that in this area.
But it's also great for like the people that live up in like Indian Lake.
Right.
Like
Yeah,
they're
we're a
like
closer
an hour away.
Yeah.
That, you know, if they had to go to like, you know, a hospital that is south, they, you know, that's out of the TPA window. Like they're, you know, every minute outside that hour, like your odds of recovery go down, and we can now provide that to someone that lives an hour north. And
I mean, we're the biggest hospital between Albany and Montreal, so the more we can do for our community, the better off we are.
Talk about the cardiac cath lab. That's changed the past 5 years too, right?
it's been the same since they've started that before I was here.
They haven't necessarily changed, but we're like blowing statistics out of the water.
Yeah.
You know, they're just the times, the turnarounds, everything are just fantastic. I mean, they're out of the ER typically in under 30 minutes up to the cath lab. I want to say their door to needle time has got to be under 45 minutes.
Yes,
I don't know their exact ones, but our they're just blowing numbers out of the water with that.
Yeah.
Our process is like down pat from the time you get in the ER door to the operators paging everybody to getting upstairs on the table. I mean, it's a ballroom dance, and we've got it down pretty well.
Like the cath lab working with like EMS is understanding like how important it is to get the first EKG to us so we can activate the cath lab before the patient's even to us. So that's
Already
a win.
Be upstairs ready to go.
Yeah.
You know,
So before you get to the hospital, we already know what you need, and that's amazing to do that too.
Yeah. So that's been great for us too. So.
Anything else you guys want to add in?
Come work in the ER.
Yeah. We have a good time.
Yeah. But
we do have a great team.
Yeah.
The ER is such a big family. It's like for the outsider, it might look like looks like chaos, but for us, it's like controlled chaos that we thrive on. Like I know what Kelsey's doing in a moment. I know what my nurses are doing. Like it's one of those like okay. Where she like is busy with something like that, I can pick up her like slack on this side, and it's just like it's like a Thanksgiving dinner where everyone's like throwing, hey, give me the rolls, I'll take the cranberry sauce.
Yeah.
It's a functional, dysfunctional family at the same time. I'm just waiting one day it's gonna like pass the butter, like it's gonna come down. It's gonna be like normal saline throwing.